Today we're using a paper bag to make a faux leather briefcase. I'm starting with this aluminum and plastic briefcase that I got cheaply, but you could also make something like this using cardboard. I'll save the aluminum for a different project. To start the leather effect, I tore off a piece of paper bag and cut a straight line on one side. Then I rolled the paper bag into a tight ball. Crumpling the paper makes it more flexible and easier to apply, and it also gives it lines that become great texture later. I'll be attaching the paper with glue, and I'd like for it to stick nicely, so I use my emery board to scuff up the plastic surface. I'm using Fabri-Tac glue. This is the same type of glue as Fabrifix, and it works on a lot of materials even though it has fabric in the name. I squeezed out a line of glue and held the paper for about 30 seconds so it could take hold. Once the paper edge was firmly attached, I spread out some more Fabri-Tac glue and pressed the paper to the flat side of the briefcase. I'll be wrapping the excess paper around the edges and gluing it, so I'm first allowing it to take shape by pressing it in place. Then I trim off the excess paper. I'm running my scissors tightly along the edge so there isn't any overhang. I'm using more Fabri-Tac to secure the edges. This glue grabs quickly like hot glue, but you have more working time and it doesn't leave hard lumps. I covered the other side of the briefcase in paper as well, and now I'll be making it look like leather. I'm using some matte Mod Podge to seal the paper. I'll be applying paint, and if I don't seal the paper first, the paint will cover it in a very even way and it won't have the varying tones you find in rustic leather. The Mod Podge seals the paper fibers and keeps the paint on the surface. The Mod Podge has dried, and now I'm taking a brush and rubbing some brown paint into the surface from multiple directions. Now I'm using a paper towel to wipe away the excess paint, and it creates a contrast between the high points and the deeper areas that are filled with brown. I'm doing this section by section because if you lay down all of the paint first and wipe after, the paint may have dried and you won't get the same effect. The wrinkles you create when you crumple the paper have a big influence on how your end product ends up looking, so experiment. You can try crumpling your paper into a tinier, tighter ball or leaving your wrinkles bigger. You can also try different colors of paint to end up with different colored leather. I'm using a leather shoelace to create the straps, but you can use anything you have on hand. I eyeballed the length I'll need and cut one of the pieces. Then I painted both of the pieces brown for contrast. I used the strap I already cut as a guide and cut the second one to be the same length. I added a dab of Fabri-Tac glue on both sides and used the strap to pull some of the glue downward to help attach the straps. The excess glue ended up being shiny, and I can see it in the finished product, so I would probably use tacky glue next time instead. I added each of the straps and let them take hold for about 30 seconds before proceeding. I'm using really small jump rings as buckles on my straps. I'm leaving the buckles free to slide up and down the strap and only gluing down the ends. Anywhere you can see excess glue while I attach the straps ends up being shiny in the final piece. Once the straps are attached, I just adjust my buckles so they're both at the same height as one another on the briefcase. To tone down the brass just a little bit, I used a small amount of brown paint on a brush on the bare metal. I used my finger to wipe some of the excess away. I got these watch parts on Amazon, and now I'll be adding some of them to the briefcase to give it a steampunk vibe. The watch parts are made up of mostly small gears, which is the most stereotypical part of a steampunk aesthetic, and I made this briefcase for my steampunk diorama. If you'd like to do a different style, you could do a pocket on the front, or perhaps monogrammed initials or a brand name. You can get creative and customize your briefcase to match your style or your theme. You could also use this paper bag leather technique on furniture like I did on this Dollar Tree table makeover. Make sure you check out my diorama video where this briefcase and table live. As always, thank you for watching.